Tayyip Erdogan spoke 17 minutes at this conference in Munich, and Erdogan began to get very infuriated and very angry, and he said that as a result of Israel's 3-week military operation in Gaza in January of 2009, that Israel was a war crimes country. For those who don't remember, about 300-400 terrorists, Hamas terrorists, were killed, pinpoint. But of course, there was some collateral damage and a few hundred civilians died also. Don't forget also that the Hamas was using women and children as human shields. And so many times there is no choice in war, and there is collateral damage. And so, of course, Israel, because a few hundred terrorists were killed and a few hundred civilians were killed, there were those people who said that Israel was a war crimes country. Now, Shimon Peres did not answer Tayyip Erdogan, but I would answer Tayyip Erdogan. The Turks are guilty of genocide. The Turks are a war crimes country. The Turks killed 1.5 million Armenians in 1914, 1915. It is a matter of record that Adolf Hitler, the dictator of Nazi Germany, said, because the Turks killed 1.5 million Armenian Christians, and nobody said a thing about it, we Nazis will be able to kill 6 million Jews. That's what Hitler said. It is not a secret that the Turks committed genocide against Christians, and they killed 1.5 million Armenians, 1/3 of the Armenians living on the face of the earth, exactly like the Nazi Holocaust of the Jews, which killed 1/3 of the Jewish people living on the face of the earth. And the Turks, unlike the Germans, the Turks refused to own up. They refused to take responsibility, and they refused to recognize the sin of genocide. There's also another aspect of the war crimes of Turkey, and that is the ethnic cleansing of the Kurds, the killing of the Kurds, and the refusal to give 20 million Kurdish people a state of their own. The whole world pounces on Israel to create a Palestinian state, 4 million Palestinians, when the Kurds are 20 million people and they don't even have one state. And they're being ethnically cleansed. And if you are a Kurd in Turkey and you speak Kurdish, you will be put in jail. And by the way, when Tayyip Erdogan returned to Turkey after he walked out of this conference with Shimon Peres, he was received with a hero's welcome in Turkey. And there were store signs being put up on the storefront windows. Armenians and Jews, not allowed. Dogs, yes, allowed. I hope I don't offend any Jews who may be watching this program, but like I said in other programs, I'm a Jew who loves to read different books. I love to read the New Testament. I love to read the Quran, the Hadith. I love to see what other religions say, other ideologies say. I want to understand who my ally is, and my ally is the Christian. I want to know who my enemy is, and my enemy is the Muslim. By the way, Jesus teaches to love the enemy, and I love the enemy. My motto to the Christian world is, bring them to the Lord, or they'll bring you to the sword. Because the God of the Jews and the Christians is God, the Lord, a God who hates the sword. But the God of Islam is the sword. And they call their religion Deen as-Sayf, religion of the sword. And in the end times, there will be a final battle between the forces of good and the forces of evil. And in my opinion, the forces that are the forces that believe in the sword, they are the evil forces. They will destroy the Jews on Saturday, Christians on Sunday, Hindus, Buddhists, and blacks any other time. And then, like I said before also, the Sunnis kill the Sunnis, the Shiites kill the Shiites, and the Sunnis and the Shiites kill each other. Now, as a person who does read the New Testament, and I know that a lot of Christians are very, very interested in end-time prophecies. And it says that we will witness the beheadings. This is Revelation 17. We will witness the beheadings of the saints and the followers of Jesus Christ. And the only thing that can stop it, it's not the Jews. The only thing that can stop it is a Christian revival. The Christians in America, the Christians in Canada, the Christians in Latin America, the Christians in Europe must wake up. And again, I'm a Jew from Israel. I am not a Christian. And I have an ulterior motive for everything I say, and that is for Israel to survive, the Christians must have a Christian revival. And in the end, if it is so that Christians will not have a revival, there will be a remnant of Christians, there will be a remnant of Jews, and as I said in my previous program, a lot of these Jews and Christians will end up in Jerusalem, will end up in the final days of judgment, and the Messiah will come to Jerusalem for the Jews and the Christians. And in the end, we all know who's in control, and that's God. But we will all be judged, we will all come before the throne, and God will ask each and every one of us, what did we do for him in his name? What could we have done? What did we not do? What could we have done and we didn't do? And as most Christians know, there is a saying, there is a teaching in the New Testament, faith without works is dead. And so I plead with Christians to have a revival. If the Christians have a revival, Israel will have a survival. And since the Christians are part of Israel, it's the Christian survival as well. And may God bless America and Israel and Europe, and may God bless all of humanity with the defeat of Satan and sending Satan to the pits of hell for 1,000 years. Thank you.
Today, if you go to Germany, you say, well, I'm a Holocaust denier. I'd like to give a sermon on why the Holocaust never happened. You know what happens? They throw your butt in jail. It is illegal today to deny the Holocaust in Germany. Turkey, Armenian genocide. If you go to Turkey today, I would like to discuss the Armenian genocide. I would like the Turks to confess the Armenian genocide. What happens to you? You go to jail.
Allah is not the true and living God. What happened to Muhammad? Muhammad just died suddenly. But I know a man named Yeshua who died, and in 3 days he rose and he went to the Father with all power in his hand. Now he's sitting on the right hand side of his daddy, Adonai. And I know he's coming real soon. And that great trumpet and that great shofar is gonna blow, and then all the world's gonna know. I don't care who you are, if you Muhammad, I don't care if you Mike Tyson, I don't care if you in Hollywood. When that great shofar, you are going to get on your knees and worship the true King of Kings, the true Lord of Lords. This mouth with every breath I got will proclaim Yeshua is Lord, and the world will know. He's going to use the bloodline he's put me in to help restore Ishmael back to his brother. Isaiah, he is going to restore that breach, and Ishmael is coming home. He's coming home to the Father.
Saul, David, Solomon, and then Solomon's descendants were all ruling from Jerusalem. It was not the capital of anyone else, and it's not mentioned in anyone else's religious holy book. Not even in the Quran. It's only in the Bible. So more than 100 countries defied Trump and voted for this anti-Jerusalem UN resolution. But nothing new to us. We know what the UN is like. Benjamin Netanyahu called it a house of lies. But we pay these people to do things that are absolutely absurd. So they issue resolutions criticizing countries, and guess what? 86% were against Israel. The Bible says, I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. I will be an adversary to your adversary. And so many times natural disasters happen in conjunction with a resolution, a decision by a state to go against Israel. The European globalists are extremely displeased that they cannot control Donald Trump and that they cannot control Israel. And this is what they've done since the Roman times. Same people, same nations, doing the same things. I don't need everybody to agree, God says. Do you know that in your life? The whole world can seem to be against you. Those that have power can seem to be against you. And God raises one person up in your life and everything changes. That's why you need to depend on God. My Jewish listeners, your only friends left in the world are Christians. Stop believing what you heard when you were a kid, that Jesus is a name not to be uttered in this house. You know, so many Jewish kids were taught that. And yet Christians love you. And Christians did not kill you in the Holocaust. These were the National Socialist Party of Germany is called the Nazi people. They are secularist atheists. They're not preaching the gospel, right? They were killing and imprisoning as many Christians who were protecting the Jews during World War II.
And that has been fulfilled in our day.
Und das hat sich in unseren Tagen
I
erfüllt.
myself have witnessed it with my own eyes.
Ich selbst war Zeuge davon mit eigenen Augen.
And that is one of the greatest miracles of history.
Und das ist eines der großartigsten Wunder der Weltgeschichte.
That the Jewish people were scattered for 19 centuries among more than 100 nations.
Dass das jüdische Volk verteilt war, mehr als 1900 Jahre, über mehr als 100 Nationen.
And every pressure was put upon them to give up their identity.
Und jeder nur mögliche Druck auf sie ausgeübt wurde, um ihre Identität aufzugeben.
And yet at the end of that time they were still a distinct people.
Und dass sie am Ende dieser Zeit immer noch ein
And
spezifisches
were
Volk waren.
regathered from more than 100 nations in the earth.
Und dass sie sich aus mehr als 100 Nationen der Welt wieder
I
versammelten.
don't think our minds can comprehend the greatness of that miracle.
Und ich glaube, unser Verstand kann gar nicht begreifen, wie groß dieses Wunder ist.
My first wife was Danish.
Meine erste Frau war dänisch
She used to say this:
und sie hat Folgendes gesagt.
if you scattered the Danes amongst all the nations
Wenn man die Dänen unter alle Nationen austeilen
and
würde
came back 200 years later,
und 200 Jahre später
you wouldn't
zurückkäme,
find a single Dane anywhere.
dann würde man nicht einen einzigen Dänen irgendwo
And
wiederfinden.
there are many other nations of whom that would be true.
Und bei vielen anderen Nationen wäre das genauso
But
wahr.
the Jews have survived 19 centuries of dispersal and persecution.
Aber die Juden haben 19 Jahrhunderte Diaspora und Verfolgung überlebt.
I am really sorry for those Christians who don't appreciate this miracle.
Und mir tun wirklich die Christen leid, die dieses Wunder nicht zu schätzen wissen.
How did I come from Hamas to serve Israel? This is a long story. As I said, it's very hard to fit the whole story in few minutes. I wrote about all the details in Son of Hamas, but all I can say that the most important motivation among all other motivations that I had to work for the State of Israel was the deep understanding of God's love to all his children through the person of Jesus Christ.